The calm of space was broken by the distant hum of the hospital ship Aurora. Its white hull gleamed against the black canvas of the galaxy. Inside, the corridors were quiet. Doctors and medics moved slowly, attending to their patients, unaware of the storm approaching. For years, the hospital ships had sailed through space with protection guaranteed by the galaxy's agreements. They were considered untouchable. Commander Elias Drake stood on the observation deck, staring at the stars. His eyes were sharp, but his mind carried a quiet worry. "We've had peace for decades," he muttered to Lieutenant Marachin. "I hope it stays that way." Mara shook her head. "Peace doesn't last in the void, sir. Something feels off." Elias didn't answer. He couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that had grown stronger over the last few days. Space was quiet, too quiet, and silence often a danger. Suddenly, the ship's sensors screamed. Alarms blared, red lights flashed, and the calm of the hospital corridors was shattered. "Commander, we have incoming!" The sensor officer shouted. "Multiple unidentified warships heading this way, fast." Elias felt a chill. They are warships, sir," the officer confirmed. "And they are armed." The crew froze. The Aurora was not a warship. It was full of civilians, patients, medics, and supplies. They had no weapons to fight back. Mara grabbed Elias' arm. "We need to evacuate the patients." The commander nodded. "Prepare the emergency protocols. Send distress calls to the Earth fleet. Now!" Every second counted. The medics hurried to secure the patients. Children clung to their parents, scared. Nurses ran, lifting stretchers and guiding those who could walk. The once calm corridors were now a maze of chaos and panic. Outside, the enemy ships appeared. Sleek, black, and menacing, they surrounded the Aurora in a tight formation. Without warning, a beam of energy struck the hull, shaking the ship violently. Sparks flew, panels ripped open, and the lights flickered. "Shields holding, sir, barely," the officer reported. "They're strong, too strong." Elias clenched his fists. "Send the distress signal again. Full power." The call reached Earth's command center. Admiral Kira Voss was in her command chair, monitoring the galaxy from the bridge of the massive warship Valiant. Her eyes widened as the signal came through. "It's the Aurora," she shouted. "They're under attack. Send the fleet now." But even as orders were given, Kira knew the fleet was too far. By the time they arrived, the hospital ship might already be destroyed. Back on the Aurora, the crew tried to maintain order. The enemy ships were circling, their weapons ready. Elias stood at the helm, watching the attack unfold. Each blast shook the ship. Each explosion tore through the hull. "This is insane," one medic whispered. "They're attacking a hospital ship." Elias gritted his teeth. "It's not insane. It's war. And they just reminded us of that." Mara turned to him, eyes wide. "Do we fight back?" "We can't." "No," Elias said firmly. "We cannot, but we can survive." The enemy fired again, aiming for the ship's engines. The Aurora shuddered. Smoke filled the hallways. The crew struggled to control the fires. Patients screamed, and medics did everything they could to help. Then, a new sound pierced the chaos, a human voice through the comms. "This is Commander Drake of the hospital ship Aurora. We are under attack by unknown forces. Request immediate support from the Earth fleet. Repeat, we are under attack." The message crackled through space. It was desperate, raw, and urgent, but in the vast emptiness, it seemed like a whisper against a storm. Elias knew time was running out. "Mara, guide the civilians to the escape pods. We have to get as many out as possible." Mara nodded and ran, leading people down the corridors. Children clung to their mothers. Elderly patients struggled with stretchers, and the crew did everything they could to keep everyone moving. The screams and shouts echoed to the ship, a horrifying symphony of fear. The enemy ships closed in. Their weapons fired again, hitting the Aurora directly. The hull buckled. A massive explosion rocked the ship, and the lights went out in the main corridors. Darkness and smoke filled the rooms. Elias held onto the railing, his heart racing. "Damage report," he barked. "Engines are failing. Shields at 20%, the officer shouted. "We won't hold much longer." Mara returned, guiding the last group to the escape pods. Everyone is almost out, sir. Just a few more. Elias looked at the pods. They were ready to launch. But one thing was clear. Not everyone would make it. Some patients were too weak, too injured. He felt a pang of guilt, but forced himself to act. Launch what we can. The rest brace for impact. The crew followed orders, and the escape pod began firing off into space. Each one carried hope, a small chance of survival. But the Aurora remained under fire, battered and burning. Suddenly, an enemy ship broke formation and moved closer. Its weapons charged for a final strike. Elias shouted, "Hold them off. Divert power to shields. We can't go down without a fight." The crew worked frantically. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and the ship groaned under the stress. Then, a blinding flash. An explosion ripped through the rear of the ship. The Aurora lurched violently, throwing Elias against the console. Everything seemed lost. Smoke filled the bridge. The sensors went dark. Silence followed, except for the faint groans of the injured and the crackle of fires. Then, through the chaos, the comms crackled again. Earth's fleet had received a distress call. Ships began appearing on the sensors, distant but closing fast. Elias allowed himself a small breath. Reinforcements, they're coming. But the enemy wasn't done. They had noticed a human fleet approaching. Another massive strike was launched, this time with deadly precision. The Aurora shook violently, and a section of the ship collapsed. Debris flew, and smoke choked the corridors. Mara's voice came over the intercom, panicked but firm. "Commander, they're tearing through the ship." Elias clenched his teeth. "We survive or we die trying. That's our choice." The enemy fleet closed in. But as the first human warships appeared on the sensors, the aliens paused. Their scanners detected more than just a hospital ship. They saw the beginning of Earth's retaliation. Elias, battered and exhausted, looked out at the stars. "We didn't start this," he said softly, "but we'll end it." The first part of the story ended with the Aurora limping through the void, the enemy ships circling like predators, and Earth's fleet rushing to intervene. The desperate call had been made, and the human response was about to change the galaxy forever. Suspense hung in the air. Who would survive? Would the hospital ship be destroyed? And what price would humanity pay for retaliation? The galaxy waited for the answer. The void of space was no longer silent. The distant shimmer of Earth's fleet glimmered on the sensors of the Aurora, but it was far away, too far to stop the destruction already unfolding. The hospital ship, battered and smoking, drifted through the darkness like a wounded giant. Its corridors were a maze of fires, debris, and terrified passengers. Commander Elias Drake gritted his teeth as he surveyed the damage. The hospital ship was barely holding together. Systems failed one after another. Lights flickered like dying stars, and alarms screamed incessantly. He could hear the frightened cries of children and the groans of injured patients. Status report. Elias shouted. "Try to stay calm amid the chaos." "Engines at 10%, sir. Shields down to 15. Hull breaches in 3 sectors." Lieutenant Marichin replied, her voice tight with tension. "We won't last long against them if they keep firing." Elias slammed his fist against the console. "Then we make them regret it. Prepare the countermeasures. Anything we can do, we do now." The medics looked at him in shock. "Sir, this is a hospital ship. We can't fight them." Elias's eyes burned with determination. "We don't have to fight them. We just have to survive and make them pay for what they did, for the people we lost." Outside, the alien ships circled like vultures. Their black hulls were sleek and terrifying, their weapons charged and ready. Without warning, one of them fired, aiming directly at the Aurora's engine. The blast tore through the rear section, sending the ship spinning. Sparks rained down the corridors, and a wall of smoke filled the main hall. "Brace for impact." Elias shouted, gripping the railing. The ship rocked violently. Crew and patients were thrown off their feet. Stretchered patients slid across the floor, and medics scrambled to keep them from falling into the flames. In the chaos, Elias noticed something strange. Small energy pulses bouncing off the alien hulls. "Wait, what is that?" he muttered. Mara leaned over the console, eyes wide. "Some kind of deflection? It's weak, but it's affecting their shields." Elias's mind raced. Then we hit them there, target their weak points. Get their attention away from the escape pods. He issued the order. Though the Aurora had no real weapons, it had small emergency pulse emitters, designed only to protect against debris. Now, those pulses were aimed at the alien ships, small but precise. A pulse hit the lead alien ship. Sparks flew along its hull. The alien ship hissed, and the fleet faltered slightly. It was enough to create confusion. "Do it again!" Elias yelled. "Keep them off our back." The crew, inspired by his courage, worked quickly. Each pulse hit the enemy, causing minor damage but enough to disrupt their formation. The aliens, confident in their attack, had not expected resistance from a hospital ship. Then came the chaos. A smaller alien fighter broke off and dove toward the Aurora, its weapons ready to strike. "Incoming!" shouted a crew member. Elias knew they couldn't dodge forever. "Divert all power to shields." The ship shuddered as the alien fighter fired. The blast hit, tearing through a corridor. Smoke and debris filled the air. Medics and patients screamed, but miraculously, the shields absorbed most of the energy. Mara's hands flew over controls. "I'm keeping us steady, sir. Just hold on." The alien fleet, now slightly disorganized, began firing wildly. Some shots missed, others hit, causing more fires and system failures. The Aurora shuddered under the assault, but humans never gave up. With the escape pods nearly ready, Elias made a bold choice. "We can't wait for fleet to arrive. We strike first." "Strike? Sir, we have no weapons." Mara protested. Elias smiled grimly. "We have brains, courage, and determination. That's enough. Target their command ship with pulse vectors. We can't destroy it, but we can confuse them." The crew followed his orders. Small, precise bursts of energy hit the alien command ship. Systems flickered. Aliens shouted in confusion. The fleet faltered, unsure of what was happening. Elias saw an opportunity. "Now, fire the decoy drones." From hidden bays in the Aurora, small drones were released, each emitting energy signatures similar to a hospital ship. The alien fleet, focused on the drones, redirected fire. The corridors of the Aurora shook as explosions hit the drones, but the real ship had a chance to maneuver. The escape pods launched amidst the chaos, carrying frightened civilians and medics. Outside, the human fleet began to arrive. The first of Earth's warships appeared on the horizon, their massive guns casting long shadows over the battle. The alien fleet, now facing both the hospital ship's cunning and the approaching human fleet, hesitated. "Commander, human warships incoming!" Mara shouted. Elias allowed himself a small smile. "Good. Let them see that humanity fights back." The aliens fired at the warships. Explosions lit up the void, turning the darkness into a deadly light show. Humans returned fire. The clash was fierce, but Elias knew the Aurora had done its part. It had distracted the aliens, saving hundreds of lives in the escape pods. But victory came at a cost. The Aurora's engines were failing. The hull was cracked, and fires raged through the ship. Crew members were injured, some badly. "Sir, we can't hold much longer," Mara said. "The ship won't survive another hit." Elias looked at the ship he had sworn to protect. His heart ached, but he knew there was no time to grieve. "Then we finish this. We've bought time. That's all we need." In the chaos, a small group of crew volunteered to take the ship closer to the alien fleet. Their goal was simple: distract, confuse, and allow the escape pods to reach safety. "Take me with them," Elias said firmly. Mara's eyes widened. "Sir, you can't." "I can and I will. It's my ship, my responsibility. Now go." The crew hesitated, then obeyed. Escape pods veered toward safety while Elias and the skeleton crew piloted the Aurora straight into the alien fleet's path. Explosions rocked the ship. Aliens fired repeatedly. The Aurora shook violently, but the crew remained focused, using every trick to confuse and disrupt the enemy. In a daring move, Elias piloted the ship through a dense asteroid field. The aliens followed, but their formation was broken. Ships collided with asteroids, engines failed, and the fleet's attack faltered. "Good. Keep pushing," Elias shouted, adrenaline coursing through him. From the shadows of the asteroid field, small bursts of human drones attacked the alien flanks. Explosions tore through the enemy ships. It was chaos on both sides, but the humans had the advantage. Ingenuity and courage. Still, the Aurora was barely alive. Fires raged, systems failed, and the hull groaned under pressure. Elias knew they couldn't last much longer, but every second counted. Every moment the aliens were distracted allowed the escape pods to reach Earth's fleet. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the last escape pods were out of danger. Elias allowed himself a moment to breathe. The human fleet was closing in, weapons aimed, ready to strike. The aliens, battered and confused, began to retreat. The Aurora, damaged but unbroken, drifted to the asteroid field. Smoke filled the corridors, alarms screamed faintly, and the crew was exhausted. But they had done it. They had survived. They had struck back. Elias stood on the observation deck, staring at the stars. The void was calm again, but the galaxy had changed. Humanity had shown it would not be attacked without a response. Mara joined him, wiping soot from her face. "We did it. We actually did it." Elias nodded, eyes hard. "This is just the beginning. They will come back. And next time, we want to survive, we'll strike first." The silence of space returned, but it was no longer peaceful. The first strike had been made. Chaos had been unleashed, and humanity had awakened the galaxy to a new power. Their fury, their courage, and their determination to fight back. The story ended with suspense. The alien fleet had retreated, but at what cost? The Aurora was barely holding together, and the human fleet had suffered losses. The galaxy was wide, dark, and full of danger. And somewhere out there, the enemy was planning their next move. The humans had won a battle, but the war was far from over. The vast darkness of space stretched endlessly, pierced only by the distant flashes of human warships approaching the remnants of the alien fleet. The Aurora limped behind, scarred and battered, a ghost among the stars. Commander Elias Drake stood on the observation deck, his hands gripping the railing as he scanned the chaos ahead. Smoke trailed from the damaged ship, and sparks flared from exposed circuits. Yet in the void he saw something remarkable. The humans were not beaten. They were learning, adapting, and striking back. Lieutenant Marachin approached him, her face smudged with soot. "Sir, the aliens are regrouping. They've pulled back slightly, but their sensors are scanning for us. They're planning something big." Elias's jaw tightened. "Good. Let them think they're safe. That's when we hit harder. Humanity doesn't just survive. We adapt, we conquer." The human fleet had begun organizing into a defensive formation, ready to protect the escape pods and the damaged Aurora. Captain Rami Voss, commanding the flagship Valiant, coordinated with precision, spread out, protect the survivors, engage only when necessary, draw them into the trap. Meanwhile, in the alien fleet, confusion spread. Their scans had detected the human drone's clever feints during the last engagement, and they were shaken by the Aurora's unexpected maneuvers. A sleek black command ship broke formation, sending signals to the rest. The humans are adaptive, focus fire, and prepare for countermeasures. Elias watched through the viewports as the enemy fleet maneuvered clumsily. Their arrogance had been their weakness. Humans were small, battered, and underestimated, but they were unpredictable. "Commander," Mara said, pointing to the sensors, "they're massing near the Cerulean Rift. If we push them there, we can use the environment to our advantage." Elias's eyes sparkled. "Exactly. A rift is a natural trap. Gravitational turbulence, energy distortions, they won't expect it. Plot the course." The Aurora creaked as its engine struggled to maintain course, but Elias guided it with precision. The damaged ship was now a tool, bait for the alien predators. Escape pods moved behind the main human fleet, carrying civilians safely, while the alien command ship followed the Aurora, intent on finishing what they had started. Inside the corridors, the medics and crew worked feverishly to keep systems online. Sparks flew from exposed wiring, alarms blared intermittently, and smoke swirled like ghosts. Crew members carried equipment, repaired damaged panels, and assisted patients, all while knowing the enemy could strike at any moment. Sir, we have an incoming volley. Mara shouted. Elias acted quickly. Divert shields to the front. Fire the pulse emitters in sequence. The small energy bursts hit the alien command ship's shields at weak points, causing momentary sparks and disruptions. Confusion spread among the alien ranks. They had underestimated the Aurora's crew, a single hospital ship that seemed fragile but was cunningly lethal in strategy. At the same time, Earth's warships engaged alien escorts. Explosions lit up the void as missiles and laser pulses collided. Human tactics were simple but effective: diversion, precision strikes, and coordinated maneuvers. Unlike the aliens, humans were unpredictable. They used the environment, the rift's gravitational turbulence, asteroid debris, and energy anomalies, to their advantage. Elias and Mara guided the Aurora closer to the rift. Hold steady, Elias said. Once the aliens enter the turbulence, we unleash everything we've got. The alien command ship, arrogant and confident, pursued relentlessly. Its sensors detected no significant threat from the damaged hospital ship. Finish them, the alien commander ordered, unaware that they were flying into a trap. As the fleet entered the rift, gravity waves pulled at the ships, twisting and shaking them violently. Navigation became nearly impossible. Many alien ships collided with debris. Some lost control, while their formations shattered. Now! Elias shouted. From hidden bays, the Aurora released another set of pulse drones. They were small, agile, and capable of short energy bursts. The drones darted between alien ships, disrupting their systems. Some ships fired blindly at the drones, causing collisions with the rift's rocky edges. At the same time, human warships coordinated their attack, striking the alien flanks while the main force was distracted. Explosions lit the rift like a deadly fireworks show. Inside the alien command ship, panic erupted. Systems failed, communication channels were jammed, and their ships crashed into the rift's edges. We underestimated them. They're clever. The alien commander gasped before a massive explosion rocked the ship. Elias and Mara watched as the alien fleet fractured and retreated. It's working, Mara whispered, awestruck. Not over yet, Elias reminded her. They'll regroup. They always do. But we've taken the first step. We've shown them humanity adapts. Suddenly, sensors picked up a new anomaly, a massive alien warship emerging from the shadows of the rift, unlike any they had encountered before. Its hull was larger than a human cruiser, and energy pulses emanated from its surface. Elias's eyes narrowed. That's their real command ship. They saved it for last. This is a strike that matters. Mara's voice trembled slightly. Sir, it's huge. How do we stop it? Elias clenched his fists. We don't stop it. We trap it. He turned to the crew. All remaining pulse emitters, drones, and energy diversions. Focus on drawing it into the gravitational turbulence. We'll weaken it before it can harm anyone. The crew worked tirelessly, launching pulse drones and coordinating with the human fleet. Each maneuver was precise, each burst calculated. The massive alien warship followed, confident in its power, unaware of the trap. As the warship entered the turbulence, human drones targeted its engines and shields. Sparks flew along its massive hull. The gravitational waves twisted the ship, forcing it to slow and struggle. Elias gritted his teeth. Keep it in the rift. Don't let it escape. Explosions rocked the massive alien vessel. Its energy shields flickered, weapons went offline, and debris littered the rift. The human strategy was simple but effective. Use the environment, confuse the enemy, and strike with precision. Inside the Aurora, the crew cheered quietly as they watched the alien flagship falter. But the danger was far from over. The ship's hull was barely holding. Fires raged and the corridors were filled with smoke. Medics and crew continued to fight for survival, tending to injured patients while maintaining the ship's defenses. Elias knew the victory would come at a cost. We bought time, he said, but we've lost a lot too. Prepare for extraction and regroup with the fleet. As the alien flagship struggled in the rift, smaller alien vessels tried to escape, only to be intercepted by human warships. The humans had turned the tide. What had begun as a desperate survival mission was now a carefully orchestrated counterattack. Mara looked at Elias, admiration in her eyes. You really can't predict humans, can you? Elias allowed a small smile. No, we're unpredictable, and that's our greatest strength. The rift echoed with explosions, energy pulses, and the cries of both humans and aliens. It was chaos, but it was controlled chaos. Humanity had shown that even when outgunned, outnumbered, and battered, clever tactics, courage, and determination could change the outcome of war. Finally, as the dust of battle settled, the alien flagship broke free of the rift but severely damaged. It retreated into deep space, leaving a trail of destruction and fear. The human fleet had not destroyed it, but it had sent a clear message. Humanity would not be defeated. Elias and Mara watched from the Aurora, exhausted but determined. "We've turned the tide," Mara whispered. "Not the war," Elias replied. "Just the battle. They'll come back. And when they do, we'll be ready." The story closed with suspense, tension, and the knowledge that humanity had fought back brilliantly. The humans had adapted, survived, and struck a blow that would echo across the galaxy. The stage was set for the final confrontation, where human courage, intelligence, and resilience would be tested like never before. The galaxy had learned a lesson. Underestimate humanity, and you will pay the price. The void of space was tense, silent except for the distant hum of human warships and the dying echoes of the alien fleet retreating from the Cerulean Rift. Commander Elias Drake stood on the bridge of the Aurora, staring at the star-filled expanse, knowing this battle was far from over. The enemy had retreated, but only to regroup. Somewhere in the darkness, the alien flagship lingered, its massive silhouette a threat to every planet, every fleet, and every human life. Lieutenant Mara Chen's hands flew over control panels. "Sensors are picking up the alien flagship, sir. They've repaired some systems. But it's damaged. We can hit it now if we act carefully." Elias nodded. "Then we hit them where it hurts. Not with brute force, but with strategy. Humans don't just fight. We outthink them." The human fleet formed a massive formation around the Aurora, using the battered hospital ship as a decoy once again. The plan was daring. Lure the alien flagship closer, use gravitational anomalies as traps, and strike with precision attacks from every angle. Captain Rami Voss of the Valiant communicated through the fleet. "All ships, maintain formation. Remember, we're not just fighting for survival. We're showing the galaxy that humanity never surrenders." The alien flagship moved slowly toward the fleet, sensing an easy victory. Its massive weapons glowed with deadly energy, ready to obliterate the humans. But it had underestimated them once, and humans never made the same mistake twice. Elias gave the order. "Release the drones. Launch every pulse vector we've got. Let's confuse them again." From hidden bays, hundreds of drones launched into space. They moved unpredictably, mimicking human ship signatures, weaving through the void. The alien flagship fired relentlessly, but every shot missed its target, hitting the drones instead. Confusion spread among the alien ranks. Their massive ship, powerful and confident, began faltering under human ingenuity. Inside the flagship, the alien commander's voice was sharp and angry. How are they adapting? They are weaker yet stronger." Elias watched through the viewport as the flagship fired indiscriminately. "They don't understand strategy. They only see the surface." "That's where we strike," he muttered. The fleet executed a daring maneuver. The Aurora, limping but still operational, led the alien flagship toward a cluster of debris and gravitational distortions. Human warships flanked the enemy from multiple angles, hidden by shadows and energy pulses. "Brace for turbulence," Mara warned, as the fleet moved into a dense asteroid field. The alien flagship struggled to navigate, its massive size becoming a liability. Each movement risked collision. Elias smiled grimly. "Perfect. They think they're in control, but we've set the stage." Then the humans struck. Small strike ships launched coordinated missile barges, targeting the alien engines. Pulse vectors from the Aurora disrupted shields. Drones moved to flagship's blind spots, creating chaos and confusion. The flagship's hull shook violently. Explosions ripped through outer sections. Alien crews scrambled, attempting to repair systems, but the attacks were relentless. "Keep pushing," Elias shouted. "Don't let them regroup." As the flagship faltered, the human fleet took the opportunity to strike with precision energy beams. The alien ship groaned, sparks flying along its surface. Its weapons faltered, and its shields collapsed under coordinated attacks. Inside the flagship, panic spread. Alien soldiers screamed as systems failed. The commander's voice trembled. Stop them. Stop them now. But the humans were relentless. Every ship, every pulse drone, every missile worked in perfect coordination. The flagship's massive hull cracked, and fires tore through critical sections. Elias watched, knowing victory was close. Mara prepared for the final strike. We end this now. Mara's fingers danced across the controls. Final sequence ready, sir. All vectors aligned. Elias gave the command. Fire. Energy beams from multiple human ships converged on the alien flagship. The impact was tremendous. Explosions erupted across the hull, shaking the void. The flagship groaned and fractured, pieces of its massive hull tumbling into space. For a moment, silence filled the void. Then, human sensors confirmed the destruction. The alien flagship, the symbol of their power, was destroyed. Cheers erupted across the human fleet, but Elias didn't celebrate. He looked at the Aurora, scarred and smoking, and at the escape pods that carried civilians safely. Humanity had won, but the cost had been high. Sir, we did it, Mara whispered, exhausted and relieved. Yes, Elias replied. But remember, this is only the beginning. The galaxy is vast, and there are others who will test us. Today, we showed them humanity fights back, and we fight smart, we fight brave, and we never give up. The human fleet regrouped, tending to their damaged ships and rescuing survivors. Fires were extinguished, systems repaired, and the wounded cared for. Yet the victory felt different than expected. It was not just the destruction of the enemy, but the proof that humanity could endure, adapt, and triumph against impossible odds. Elias walked to the observation deck. The stars were calm, but he knew the peace was fragile. Somewhere, deep in the galaxy, new threats awaited. Yet humans had sent a message. No attack would go unanswered. A faint signal flickered on the Aurora's communications console. A strange energy pattern, alien in design, pulsated with unknown intent. Elias frowned. Mara analyzed that signal. This isn't over. Mara nodded, curiosity and concern in her eyes. It looks like a warning? Or maybe a challenge. Elias's expression hardened. Either way, humanity will be ready. The fleet continued toward Earth, carrying survivors' scars and stories of heroism. The Aurora, once a vulnerable hospital ship, had become a symbol of resilience and courage. It had survived the impossible, guided by its commander and crew, who refused to give in even when hope seemed lost. On board, crew members helped medics tend to injured civilians. Children clutched their parents, wide-eyed but alive. Humans had endured. Humans had adapted. And humans had struck back. Outside, the galaxy remained vast and mysterious, filled with unknown dangers and opportunities. The alien threat was diminished, but not gone. For Elias, Mara, and the human fleet, the war was far from over. But humanity had learned a vital lesson. Unity, intelligence, and courage could turn the tide of any battle. As the fleet entered a safer sector of space, Elias allowed himself a rare moment of relief. The stars seemed brighter now, as if acknowledging the resilience of the human spirit. He turned to Mara. We've survived the storm, but we must be ready for next. Always ready. Mara nodded, her face tired but resolute. We will be, sir. Humanity always is. The story closed with a sense of triumph and anticipation. Humanity had won the battle, but the war for the galaxy's future was ongoing. The enemy had been challenged, the innocent saved, and the courage of humans immortalized in stars. Somewhere in the silent darkness beyond the edge of the galaxy, the faint pulse of the alien signal continued. A warning? A promise? Or perhaps the beginning of a new story. Humanity had turned the tide, and in the cold expanse of space, they will remain vigilant, ready for whatever came next.